So how many times have you found yourself wondering, how many people do I need around here? How many staff members do I need to run my business? How many team members do I need to run my business, to achieve my goals, and to be profitable? So there's 13 things that I do and I work with clients to ensure that they can run their business, they can achieve their goals, and they are profitable. Because let's face it, if you do the first two things and you can't be profitable, there's no point in doing this. So my name is Kevin Johnson, and I'm the CEO of Leverage Consulting, as well as the creator of Leverage U and Online University. And these 13 things that I'm going to talk to you about are, again, 13 things that I work through with clients to help them get everything dialed in, because at the end of the day, all of this is about being profitable. Because not being profitable, not achieving your goals, not being able to run your business, it's stressful. And the problem with this age-old question of how many staff members am I supposed to have is that these 13 things I'm going to talk about influence the answer. Because I know everyone just wants the bottom line answer. You need 10 team members, you need 5, you need 20. And the reality of it is, it's really tough to put a number to it unless you can answer some of the rest of these questions I'm going to talk about. Because as you answer these questions, you're going to see where maybe you need more team members, maybe you need less. And when you go to a national conference, or you talk to someone on YouTube, or you talk to someone on Facebook, some social media platform, you go somewhere and you run into an expert and they tell you, you need 10 team members. It's a good idea. Or maybe you talk to somebody else that has a successful business. They may not be telling you that, well, Margaret's been with me for 32 years and she herself is 132 years old. Okay, they don't tell you some of the things that, you know, maybe I've kept someone because they're like family and they really don't do a job anymore. They just kind of come in and collect a paycheck. Or they don't tell you that they have issues like severe turnover, which I'm going to talk about. So the more turnover you have, you end up needing more staff members, which again, I'm going to talk about. So here's the thing. The first thing on my list is leadership. With better leadership, you will need fewer team members, and you will be more profitable, and you'll achieve all your goals. So what do I mean by leadership? I'm talking about the fact that you can communicate to your team, here's where I want to be in 1 year, here's where I want to be by the end of the summer, here's where I want to be in 5 years, 10 years. If you want to really make it look like you're maxing this place out, they may, without you telling them, if you do not communicate to them that your interest is to bring on other producers, if you don't communicate to that to them, they may throttle your schedule back because they don't want to be stressed out. They'll just not schedule patients. They'll just not add people to the schedule, all because they don't want to be stressed out, or they don't want to see you stressed out. But if you don't communicate, my goal is by this time, we're going to be hiring, or maybe you already have hired another producer. That's an example of leadership. You tell them where this ship is headed. You tell them what a good day looks like. You tell them, show them what the expectations are. In doing that, you're providing them with direction. And you're also, when you're providing direction, make yourself available to answer questions. Because you may explain it great the first time, but once they get in and start actually trying to achieve what you're out to achieve, then they hit reality. And now they have questions. You have to be available, or either create the time to answer questions. We don't want them to stop. So that's an example of leadership. Number 2 on my list is teamwork. And we know teamwork when we see it. We know when people are willing to just jump in and help one another. We know when people are willing to not only give assistance, but also receive assistance. It's something that's really lost on a lot of people, is that teamwork is a two-way street. You have to be willing to not only give it, but also to take help. And when we don't take help, we start looking like a hoarder, because we tell everyone, no, I've got this, don't help me. I'll just do it myself. And then you teach everyone else, I don't want to help, I'll do it myself. And then the same person, the hoarder, ends up getting frustrated because guess what? They don't get any help. So teamwork is one of those things that the more you can get your team to truly work in harmony towards a common goal, you will need fewer team members. And some of that will come through team meetings, some of that will come through training, some of that will come through different methods. It might mean you go out and do go-kart racing, or you're going to do axe throwing one night or something like that, and just getting them all laughing and understanding one another. That will increase your teamwork, which will decrease the need for staff. So number 3 on my list is motivation and teamwork. And you know it when you see it. Because when you walk into, say, a restaurant, or you walk into some other kind of establishment and you just see someone, it might be a busy, crazy night, and they're just smiling away because they're having fun. You run into somebody maybe during the Christmas or the holiday shopping season, and it's just absolute chaos, and people are, it's like it doesn't even bother them. They're just out to help everyone. Work ethic, and that too is, I kind of separate motivation and work ethic, even though they're somewhat intertwined. But the work ethic is also something where kind of dovetails into teamwork. But the work ethic is something that people are just willing to put in their own time to learn. They're willing to step in and help other people. They don't look at everything as being a problem. So motivation and work ethic, again, is also like the first two. When we get that dialed in, it reduces the number of team members. Because think about the opposite of some of the things that I'm talking about. When you have someone who has no work ethic or very low work ethic, you might need 2 people to do one person's job because, I don't feel like answering the phone. I don't feel like walking over there and getting that. So I'm gonna wait for somebody else to do it for me. Those kinds of things, it's like that hustle that you're looking for. So when you instill those kinds of things into your team, again, we achieve our goals, we can run our business, and we can be profitable. So the 4th thing on my list, this is one of those things I talk about a lot from stage, and because it's one of those things I just don't really feel a lot of people realize how much of a negative impact number 4 is going to have on your business, and it's turnover. People don't realize how bad turnover, and I'll tell you, in the last couple of years since the whole COVID thing happened, ever since people started working from home, ever since people, there's just a lot of weird stuff that happened during that time frame. And the problem with it is it affected some of the work ethic, okay? And when it affects the work ethic, then we have turnover. And it doesn't just have to be that. It could be maybe you had one bad apple on your team and it caused other good players to leave your team. It's one of the worst things that can happen to you is when you lose good people over not so great employees. I'm not gonna say bad, but when you have turnover with your team, here's the bottom line. You will lose 20 to 200% on average. I know it's a big swath, but depending on what position that person was in, you will lose 20 to 200% of whatever their salary was. So when you think about, just take an assistant, take a treatment coordinator, take a whatever the position is, when they leave your practice, you will straight up lose 20 to 200% of whatever they made. Here's the reason. Number 1, you'll probably have downtime. You will lose, if it's an assistant, doctor may have to throttle their schedule. We will have lost production as a result of losing them. It happens. Second thing on the list is you're also spending money, you're spending other employees' time trying to find the next team member. So you may have a office manager or a team lead placing ads, so there's a direct cost. Then you have the indirect cost of their time trying to find that person. And then we have the upswing time of that person, the ramp up period of that person being trained. They're really not up to speed. They're not a direct replacement. We don't have one person leave at 100% and then hire someone else, say a month later, they come on board and they're not going to be 100% of whatever that person was. At best, you might get 80%. And I'm gonna think it's more in that 20 to 50% range, and then it ramps up from there. And the question is, based on leadership, based on work ethic and some other things, how quickly does that person ramp up? So again, you will lose 20 to 200% of whatever that person made. If it's a $50,000 job, you could easily lose $100,000. Crazy, but it's true. Number 5 on my list is competency. I'm not gonna spend a lot of time on this one, because when you do performance reviews, and it should be performance previews, and again, one of those things that people really get, the point of doing a performance review is not just to be a historian, but it's to tell them what you expect of them. So part of that goes into, or leads into, what's the training in place? How much training do we really provide our team members to ensure that they are tip top of their game. When you think about the military, when you think about a sports team, they train a lot to do whatever it is. So say it's a football team, they train a lot before they ever go on the field. In between games, they train. Military, they train 98% of the time for 2% action. And you think about it, as a team, your team, it's probably the complete opposite. We work 98% of the time and might train 2% of the time. So when you can say that the competency level of our team, if you take 4 team members in the same exact position, are they all exactly the same? Absolutely not. There's no way. Some team members are better at certain things and some are better at other things. And if we were to take them all and squish them all together and pull them back apart again, we would hope that we get everyone exactly the same. But we're working with human beings. It doesn't work like that. When the training is dialed in, your competency level goes up and the need for more team members to accomplish the same objectives goes down. Profitability goes up. So again, I've somewhat covered the next thing, number 6 on the list, and that is training and development. With training and development, that's one of those things you need to systematize and just make it a routine part of your team, make it a routine part of the business, that we go through training and development. And it doesn't mean we have to shut everything down. Some of it may mean that you're going to sign people up for courses. It may mean that you're going to ask them to do some things on their own time. So when you shut the practice down, you might choose to set up a training day. When maybe you have a light schedule, you take two team members and you pull them aside and you give them a training agenda. It should be one of those things that everyone is working on. It becomes the one routine thing in your practice. We're always training. We're always getting better. So when you make training a routine part of your practice, the need for staff goes down, profitability again goes up. That's what we're looking for. So all those things sound great individually, but you combine teamwork, you combine training, and what do you get? Hopefully you're getting systems. So that's number 7 on my list. When you have the systems dialed in and your team knows that this part of our team covers steps 1 through 10, and the rest of our team realizes that they are responsible for, let's just say, steps 11 through 15, those are the kinds of systems where you can go back and you can rely that they've already covered all these steps. I don't have to do their job for them. I know I can rely on whatever information they gathered about our new customer or new patient, and I can go into our software and I can look up what I need to see, and we just kind of get into a groove of things. We don't have to stop everything. We don't have to go back to the front. We don't have to stop our operations. We don't miss things. Okay, we don't create chaos, we don't cause discord, we don't create any of those kinds of things because we have systems, we get dialed in. And when you have systems coupled with your training, because the training should be based on the systems, and people are actually following them, because the existence of training and the existence of systems, so what? It's actually the fact that we have them, people follow them, and it's consistent. That's when it's dialed in. So again, when you have the systems dialed in, need for staff goes down, profit goes up. So here's the next thing you really need to look at. Some people have it. The question is whether you use it. And that is number 8, leveraging through technology. A lot of people have technology, they just haven't figured out how to utilize it yet. They don't know how to not even utilize it, but maximize it. Because if we can have a piece of software, maybe an AI app or program that will reach out to our patients, reach out to our customers, keep them engaged, have our schedule filled on a daily basis, that decreases the number of team members. I mean, let's face it, years ago, we started getting these programs that would comb our software and start sending our patients and sending our customers routine things, just like reminders. That meant there wasn't one team member that just called, all day long, I'm here to confirm your appointment. You didn't have that going on all the time, or you don't have it going on now. So we have even more and different kinds of technologies that can, again, engage our patients, engage our customers, and ensure that we don't need as many team members. And let's face it, something like that is super repetitive and not the best use of a lot of your team members' time. So when you can actually leverage your team's time through technology and decrease the repetitive stuff and increase their interaction on things like providing customer service, like ensuring people understand what they're buying, Those two things alone, if you pull away routine stuff like confirming appointments and increase the amount of time they have to provide customer service, provide an experience, and make sure people know what they're buying, I can assure you the number of team members you need will go down. But most importantly in this last one, your profitability will go up because you're eliminating tasks and really leveraging their time and ensuring that certain team members are spending the majority of their time on HLAs, which is high leverage activities. And you can even call it HIAs, high income activities. So here we get to number 9. And this is another one that a lot of people really don't discuss when they get together and they say, well, I run this kind of business and you run this kind of business. How many team members do you have? The one thing they don't discuss is the product mix or the service mix that they offer. So let's just take 2 oral surgeons talking at an annual meeting, and one oral surgeon asks the other, well, how many team members do you have? And I could share one that I've worked with a lot over the years. And I believe the last time we counted, he had 18 team members. And if I were to share that with, or some of you listening to this, you might think, what does he do with 18 team members? Well, this particular individual places well over 1,000 implants per year. They are probably in the top 5% production for the entire region or the entire country. And they're not even in an area that you would think, oh, they're in Miami or they're in LA or they're in San Diego or they're in some other affluent neighborhood. They're not, okay? These people they have systems, they have teamwork, they have work ethic, and they have everything dialed in. And if you're thinking they're absolutely perfect, they're not, because it's a team of 18 human beings that are working together on a daily basis. They have their trials, they have their tribulations, and they have things where they are constantly working on improving themselves. And if you went and asked them, which I did a couple months ago, I asked them, how do you rate yourselves? And how does the public rate you? Well, the funny part was they said the public will rate us between a 9 and a 10. I said, okay, great. So how do you rate yourself? They said, it's between a 6 and a 7. And it's because they see all the things that happen behind the curtain, but the public only gets to see the good stuff. So they're constantly working on themselves. But again, back to my point, all of this is based on what kind of service mix do you offer? Because if you are offering services that provide a higher level of touch, if you have leveraged your doctors or your providers more, you need more team members. And that's okay, because with more team members, again, you're leveraging the providers and creating more ability to move between patients, provide a better experience, and again, increase that profitability. So here's another one. I never judged this one. I have not a lot to do with it, but it does affect the number of team members that you need, and that is the doctors or the providers' speed and style. There are some providers I've worked with, and they want 5 team members in the room at any given time, and there's some that they will have maybe 2 in the room, maybe 1 in the room, and then they have floaters that come and go. So the doctor's speed and style, there are certain procedures that you can block it out for maybe an entire hour because that's total chair time for the patient. The reality is the doctor only needs 10 to 15 minutes in the room. So how we work with that doctor, and it's not just the procedure-based time, but it's also their documentation. So how that doctor goes about documenting their appointment and their clinical notes and things like that may also affect that speed and efficacy that I was talking about. That will also dictate how many team members you need. And that too speaks to how well does the provider leverage themselves through other team members, meaning how well do we use AI to take notes? How well do we utilize our team members to take notes? So literally the doctor or the provider is at a point where all they're doing is providing a little extra in terms of some extra notes, but they're finishing up the notes, reviewing the notes, adding anything else that's necessary, signing off on it, and calling it a day. So that part talks about the doctor's speed and style. Number 11 on my list is the schedule. That piece alone, and that kind of plays into what I was just talking about provider speed and style. The schedule is really building on that. So how quickly does a doctor want to move between appointments? There's some doctors that like going and having a seat in their room. Some doctors that don't even build an office in their facility because they don't ever want the opportunity to sit down. They just want to come in, work really hard, have a great day, and go home and go be with their family or go play golf or whatever their hobbies are. They want to go do something other than work. So when your schedule is geared towards, again, how many team members do we need? You have to look at your schedule and figure out how many do we really need to run this schedule. Again, every one of these things that I'm going through is somewhat independent of one another. If you really want to get this thing dialed in, you need to look at how many team members do we really need to facilitate the volume of patients that are coming in, how many the rooms in the facility that we have. That will dictate the number of team members that you need. And it's not just about the production, because there are some that have lower production but really high profit. And there are some that have really high production, and they can either have low production or low collections, low profitability, or they can have really high collections and profitability. So that maximization of the schedule, a lot of people call that the foundation of a practice or the foundation of a business. Doesn't really matter, even if you're a real estate agent, a lawyer, or anything else. That schedule is the foundation of your profitability. So number 12 that I'm talking about, I've somewhat alluded to in the previous bullet point, and this one is about the patient volume that you have, or the number of customers that you have coming in every day. Let's face it, it's sometimes easy math. I mean, I did some math with a client years ago where we figured out they had 3,600 incoming phone calls per month. And then we figured out, well, how many of those are new patients every month? And how much time should we be spending on each new patient phone call? And it was real easy to start figuring out how many team members they needed just to answer the phones. Because if we don't do a great job on the phone call, the first initial impression, guess what? It's very likely you're going to have some patients that just say, you know what, I'm going somewhere else, because it was like calling the Department of Motor Vehicles. No customer service. They just wanted to know my name. They just wanted my information, and then they wanted to get off the phone. And that's not the kind of experience we want. That first new patient phone call, we want that to be the type of thing that it makes the patient want to come see you. It makes that patient look forward to meeting the rest of the team, looks forward to coming in for their procedure. So when you're thinking about the patient volume, we need enough team members just to handle the volume. If you take an endodontic practice and you take a orthodontic practice, two completely different animals, you will have fewer team members because we have a lower volume. In an endo practice, they may only have 8 to 10 patients a day, maybe more, but again, it kind of depends on how they operate. And then you may have a orthodontic practice that has 80 to 120 patients a day. So when you're thinking about that, naturally the endo practice will have fewer, the ortho practice will have more. But playing into all the other items that I'm talking about with training, work ethic, and so on, that all these things influence even how much volume you put into your schedule. So number 13 on my list is going to be one of those ones that is somewhat of a hard and fast rule, and that is insurance involvement versus lesser or no insurance involvement. If you show me one practice that has no insurance involvement, and you show me another practice that signed up for every plan on the face of this earth, the practice with no insurance involvement can have 1 to 2 fewer team members. That's just a hard and fast kind of thing. Because number one, when you have a practice that is more insurance based, your team is going to spend more and more time explaining benefits, co-pays, maximums, all these kinds of things. It just takes more time. And then you couple that with the fact that the insurance companies don't want to pay. You know that. I know that. So you're paying team members to go fight for money that you should already have. So you think about it, you're paying money to collect money you should already have. So the practice that has gone insurance free, they can have, again, 1 to 2 fewer team members, and they can have the team members, and it doesn't even mean like you could still have those 2 team members, because this is the other thing I want you to think about. I want you to think differently about this one section and use it as a way of thinking about your business and your practice. And that is, if I have a need for fewer team members, so after you listen to this entire video, you might think, well, it's time for me to go back and start firing people. That's not the point of this video. The point of this video is for you to figure out, maybe with the 13 things I'm talking about, it's time for training. It's time for them to understand that although we do a good job, we do not provide the experience I want to provide. And just like with the insurance, they may not realize the better experience we provide, the more likely it is we can drop insurance plans. And if we can drop insurance plans, we may keep the entire team, the same team. We're just going to provide a better experience with the team that we have. So some team members may become, say, a new patient specialist, where all they do is provide a fantastic experience that they may not get somewhere else. And so with this insurance involvement, again, you're writing off, and your profitability will go down because of insurance involvement. Your profitability will go down because you had to hire 2 team members to fight the insurance companies and explain insurance benefits to your patients when they should understand them themselves. So when you're wanting to know, how can I run my practice, how can I achieve my goals, and how can I remain profitable with the team that I have, go through the 13 steps that I've talked about in this video and start reevaluating your own team, your own business, and whether you're on track for this. And this is not a night and day type thing. This is something that you will literally start moving the needle, but it may take months, maybe even really years. When I say years, you can make a significant difference in 1 to 2 years. And that's not a very long period of time. Tell me about your next vacation. Tell me about the next things you have planned in the next 6 to 12 months. And it seems like they're just around the corner. Christmas, as you watch this video, Christmas is literally just around the corner. When you start thinking about how soon next summer will be here, it's just around the corner. And you can literally lock everyone's eyes, lock the whole team on next summer. Everything we're going to do on this list of 13 things, we are going to have the best summer we've ever had because of the 13 things we're going to do, the 13 things we're going to work on in-house. Now, mind you, when you go through this entire list, you may have some shakeout with your team because some people don't want to change, or it doesn't matter, okay? This is part of the process of leveling up. So if you have questions with this, if you have interest, you have other ideas, if you have things that have worked for you, drop it in the comments below. But if you have interest in help on these 13 things, or you have questions about these 13 strategies that I've talked about, 13 ways to reevaluate your own team and your ability to achieve your goals, run your business, and be profitable, reach out to me. I'd love to talk to you. Again, my name is Kevin Johnson. I'm the CEO of Leverage Consulting. And if you like content like this, hit like, hit subscribe, because I put out videos just like this on a routine basis to help people just like you.